No. Why are you in here? Oh, well, I was waiting for someone to come in so I could leave. Is this a bad bathroom or what? They don't even have any soap dispensers. This isn't the bathroom. Frosted? It's your freezer, man. Come on, let's get out of here. Where's the handle on this door? Oh, well, here it is, but it doesn't work very well. Help! Somebody! We're locked in! Everybody, get the calm down, man! Calm down! How you gonna break the door
open? Welcome back, Fantas. It's time for another episode of Kenan Kel with Adam and Aaron. My title is Adam.
And my handle is Kel. I mean, Aaron. We're so close.
Perfect.
So close to being cool.
Yeah, we're the coolest with Coolio on the big orange couch as we talk about everyone's favorite 90s Nickelodeon show, Kenan and Kel.
I was watching Jeopardy the other day, and one of the answers was Coolio, and I didn't know it. And I was really, really upset at myself.
Oh, that's so embarrassing.
There aren't that many people who listen to Coolio, like, once a week.
Yeah, we have that privilege.
And I got it wrong.
I have an embarrassing Jeopardy track record. I've been watching a lot of that with Alex. It's like things I should know but can't pull up in time.
Yeah,
you know?
it's a good thing to watch.
It's very educational.
The people, though. Are you watching the one that's on Netflix?
Yes, yeah, right.
The one guy
there are some
in
weird...
the first episode, or the first couple, I bet. He talks really fast. He's like Ben Shapiro, except like more annoying, which is hard to believe.
He looks like if he was in school, I would beat him up, and I wasn't a bully.
Exact. Shout out to that guy. Maybe he's a Kenan and Kel fan and he's listening. If you are, send us an email at Kenan Kel Podcast.
He styled himself after Mark Cram, so he's clearly
I was gonna say Chris, but that was way too generous.
Why don't we get into it?
Sounds like a plan. Yeah, so they introduced themselves
Freezer
by saying,
burned.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I just noticed that we didn't say it at all.
So you just said it while I was talking?
Yeah. Season 3, episode 11, Freezer burned. Let's do it. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, so we begin the episode with Kenan introducing himself by his title, Kenan, and Kel introducing himself by his handle, Kel, which I find interesting because he used the term handle far before we had social media, and that was like a regular thing.
Where do you think Twitter got
That's
it from?
what I'm saying!
Yeah. That's why he's at Kel Mitchell.
He was like one of the first.
Although it'd be cool if he was at Kel, right?
He really should have done that.
That'd be pretty awesome.
I've been trying to get at Aaron. I like messaged the guy a couple times. There's no way.
Yeah, I'm looking to have at Adam Lemma, personally.
I know. I have some that are Aaron Lemma, but then I also have some that just it was never going to happen, and I refuse to do something silly. So
we also have the privilege of being the at Kenan Kel podcast. So Kenan and Kel are screwed if they ever want to do a podcast. They have to come to us.
They have to call it something else. Yeah, they'll ask to buy it. They'll be like, "How's $100?" Okay.
I do it for interviews with both of them.
Yeah, that would be fine. You're like, okay, you can have our handle, which has how many followers do we have on Twitter, Adam?
We're pushing 60.
Oh, I was gonna say 60. That's pretty good.
People out there, they love the show. I did a poll recently because I was curious, and it turns out the majority of people don't watch the episode before listening. Or after listening, they just go off of memory.
Wow, I think, I was listening back to last week's, and I was saying, having seen it just last week, I can imagine it. But even if I didn't see it, I would be able to imagine the scene, and it's almost like more fun. It's like hearing a story told.
We have an important responsibility, I guess is what I'm saying, is that we can make Kenan and Kel whatever we want it to be.
Right, so we should take this far more seriously than we have been.
Yes, we should start counting.
I should start calling off
how
work.
often they say phrases.
Like, sorry, I can't show up to first period anymore. I have to prep for my
full-time job is Kenan and Kel. So they're out on stage. Kel really wants to learn about this show because no one tells him about it.
Yeah, we just talked about this last week.
Exactly. Oh, there's a couple callbacks to what we just talked about last week. Mm-hmm. He really wants a hint from Kenan, who knows about the episode.
So Kenan is saying, okay, you want a hint? Then a hint I will give you. And he waves on somebody, and a woman wearing a gown, almost like it's a fight or something, or I don't even, it's like the ring.
Or like a Wheel of Fortune.
Wheel of Fortune, right, that's more, Vanna White. All these game shows just coming up. Yeah, she carries out a large frozen fish. Do you know what kind of fish that is, Adam?
Oh, is it a bluefin tuna?
I have no idea, but my student loves fishing. He would know.
You should quiz him on
You should
this.
send it to him. If that was a bluefin tuna, that would be $10,000. Or 5,000. I don't know about 10,000.
I don't think it'd be served at this particular restaurant that we see this episode.
Well, don't spoil anything, Adam. Anyways, so it's very clear.
I'm giving out another hint.
It's very clear that fish are going to be a part of this episode. So Kel grabs the fish. What does he do with it, Adam?
Well, he starts speculating about what the episode might be about.
Right.
That perhaps they get turned into giant fish.
Right. Another speculation is that they're going on a trip to Idaho, and then their plane runs out of fuel, so they have to land in Sweden, and then they become magicians.
And then they eat the fish.
Why are musician and magician so similar?
Maybe they're both entertainers, you know, that maybe they have similar roots. But yeah, Kenan says, "Wow, what an amazingly awful guess."
He does. That's nice. And then he says, "Come on, gravy cheeks," because he's like, "We got to get on with the show."
And Kel gets flustered as usual, and he talks to the fish this time. You see what I have to go through? Yeah, I see what you have to go through.
And he does the mouth with the fish, which makes me think about another thing that Kenan and Kel has most likely influenced. The Filet-O-Fish commercial.
You're not talking about the talking fish on the wall?
That's what I'm talking about, yeah.
It started here.
Give me back the Filet-O-Fish.
I actually have a commercial to talk to you about later on this episode.
This episode is it's building on itself already.
Starring one of the co-stars of this episode.
Oh, God. I think I know who you're talking about.
Speaking of fish, it's dinner time at the Rockmore household.
Nice stretch, yes. My mind went straight to a gathering of people eating fish, Christianity. I've been thinking a lot about Christianity recently.
I know.
I'm sorry, everybody, if you're not interested. It's just how my brain works. Yeah, so who's over for dinner, Adam?
It's Chris. He's joining the Rockmores.
Christ. The Last Supper.
He's invited to the table.
I'm sorry. Chris, yeah, he's over for dinner. We opened, in last episode, we were like, I think we opened at Rigby's every episode this season. And
not
this one, but Chris was there, wearing a nice purple shirt with a nice Jerry Garcia tie.
Yeah, he's looking his best, which is the same as how he always looks. I love that the Rockmores he's like a family friend. They invite him over for meals and stuff. Kenan's boss.
Very wholesome. Yeah, they have a great relationship with their neighborhood grocer.
Roger's cooking, and he's cooking up something real good. His special jumbo trout.
And he's showing the table his beautiful creation. He's wearing his apron, which is a Rigby's apron without the Rigby's on it. And he's standing right by the door, to which the only missing member of the family or gang, if you will, abruptly enters. And what happens then, Adam?
He doesn't shout it, but "What's up, party people?" It's Kel.
Does he say that?
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't. But he infers it through his throwing up of his arms, which ends up knocking over Mr. Rockmore.
We complained in Surprise Surprise about how not destroyed the cake was. I think this dinner is gonzo. What do you think?
Yes, gonzo for sure. It's face down and there's just food everywhere. It was like a rice fish meal.
Yeah, and you see it really splatter on the floor.
Yeah, it splatters. It's everywhere, all over the living room floor. And Kel is like, "What are we having for dinner?" After he knocks over the food.
I wanted to point out something that a running gag though I think we just missed here. It's Chris explains why he's there. Right.
He
hasn't had a good home cooked meal since
his mother left for lumberjack school. Yes, we have to talk about this
because in response to that, Kenan says lumberjack school, and then later after this scene, Kenan says again to Chris, lumberjack school.
I'm dying.
Apropos of nothing. Just.
So, Adam, here's what I think is happening here. So, what do we think Chris's mother is?
A witch.
A witch.
We have a theory from the witch episode. Chris was very knowledgeable.
If she had to go to a witching convention,
she would make up the excuse of being a lumberjack.
Might she make up an excuse of being something along the lines of a lumberjack or something random? Because this show is a random show.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Maybe Chris had to drop her off up in the woods for her coven.
Right. It's like, oh, she has to make this believable. So that tracks with the Chris's mom is a witch.
After this ruined dinner, what what does Cheryl propose?
Well, Cheryl proposes that they go out to eat, maybe, instead. And Kel says, what, Adam?
Okay, one of his catchphrases. I'm upset that I haven't been tracking this since the beginning. But I can fix this.
Which is actually very similar to Kenan's catchphrase of late, which is, we have to try!
Yeah, that's how they both solve situations.
Right. And
we have to try. I can fix this.
I mean, you gotta respect that. Like, go get 'em attitude. They're not giving up. They're trying to make things better.
They've got the encouragement, if not the skills, because I don't think Kel has ever said, I can fix this, and fixes something.
No, but he believes in himself.
He makes a sad display of the fish.
He actually uses the same cake fluffing strategy or technique. Yeah.
Better for rice than for cake.
He's like tossing it up in the air. He gets the plate over eventually, and he's like kind of trying to form it on the plate like it's some kind of clay or something. Clearly, it doesn't work.
He erects the tail at the end.
So Cal does try. He does try to fix it, and it doesn't work. So they end up going out to eat. And Adam, we have to now introduce the audience to yet another one of Chicago's favorite dining establishments. I feel bad for all of the great restaurants in Chicago who are not well represented by this show.
I wish all these restaurants were real, so we could do like a food tour of Chicago.
Oh, Adam, we're gonna have it in Kenan Kel kitchen cart or cooking cart. Kenan Kel cooking concoction cart.
Yeah, at our minor league baseball stand.
So, Adam, what's the theme of this restaurant? What's it called? What's the theme?
It's Pirate Hank's, and it's all about landlubbering pirates. I think they went to a similar restaurant in a Full House episode, but it's like it's the seafood family-friendly place.
All of these restaurants make me want to scream. It's like, what?
In what way, this one? Is it like the Chuck E. Cheeseism
so
of it?
Cheesy! I understand it's kind of a kid's show, and it's very memorable. And then there's a lot they can do with the pirate jokes. I will echo one of the catchphrases that is not mentioned in this episode. Why?
Yeah. They've got they're doing like shanties, going yo ho on a stage.
They have a pirate band, yeah, with like accordions.
There's a kid's birthday party going on.
Oh God!
I'll start pointing out now. The extras and side characters in this episode are like second to none.
They are very good.
This might be our best cast.
Yeah, I think you're right. Could you imagine reading the casting roll for this? It's like, you will be a customer at a pirate restaurant. Well, how hard could that be?
So Kel's up dancing with the band. Chris comments that, boy, they sure know how to get jiggy with it. to which, did you hear what Kenan says to him?
No.
He says, lumberjack school.
No, he doesn't.
He does the third time.
Oh, I love that he didn't give it up.
Yeah, Kenan doesn't do too much this episode. I think might be one of its flaws, but what he does is good, very good.
That's true.
They're shouting for the waiter, and he's like, you don't have to shout at me from far away. And Kel's like, can I shout you up close? Yeah, it's one of those.
Yeah, and so there's this waiter who is just deeply depressed.
Have you ever felt like this waiter before? Yes. In your food service career?
In many of my careers, Adam. I think all of them. You are just so depressed at the state of your work.
Your life.
Like you're worth so much more, yet like he, along with other employees of this establishment, seemed like they're actual professionals. But this is the only job they can find. That seems like what's kind of the theme here at Pirate Hank's.
He strikes me as like an out-of-work Shakespearean actor.
Yes,
Like
yes.
this is the
absolutely
what he's doing to pay the bills.
Yes.
His name is Gavin.
And he has to put up with just these kids who are just grabbing him and asking him pirate questions.
And of course having to put up with Kel.
And Kel, yes. So Kel is one of these kids asking a pirate question. And he asks, "Are you Pirate Hank?" What's the catchphrase at Pirate Hank's, Adam? Did you catch it?
Oh no, I didn't. What is this?
We're all pirates here at Pirate Hank's, which maps pretty closely to what is it? Everyone's welcome
Fridays,
at
the Pork Shack.
What's that restaurant? The Pork Shack.
Yeah, I thought they have a crazy theme. They have a catchphrase. Every one of these is a fully realized location.
It's the set of an entire episode. Yes, this is like the formula for dining out.
Les Meats is also crazy.
Right?
Just, there might be. I think there's like 6 or 7 restaurants so far.
There's a lot.
Maybe we should do like a like a T-shirt design, just like a restaurant tours,
Restaurateur
like of the Chicago and
Chicago restaurant tour, and it's just like
like
all
a
the
food
logos.
crawl type thing.
Yeah,
you know,
we get like lines, like the tracing lines, like a pirate. X marks the spot.
Yeah, awesome. That's a really cool idea.
Good merch idea.
Another piratism of this place is that there's a sign in the back of the wall that says just "Birthday Cave," which is a little uninspired. I guess that's where like the ball pit and stuff is for the birthday party, or doubloon pit. I don't know what they call it. So, what are some of the questions Kel has for Gavin?
He asks if there's anything under his eye patch. He ends up flipping it up, and then it's just Gavin's eye staring at him like, please stop.
He also asks about his parrots. They have a very long back and forth about if it's a real parrot or not.
What does they say? Like, it's not a fake parrot.
It's like, it's not a real parrot. Kel's like, yes it is, and everyone's like, no it's not. Yes it is. Even more people, no it's not. And Kenan demonstrates this by
taking the parrot and throwing it into something. I didn't see the name of that.
He throws it up against the wall, and like he waits a second. He says, "It was a fake parrot, right?"
Gavin's like, yes, it was a fake parrot. Gavin doesn't seem to be bothered by the brutalization of young people on his character. I think he's developed quite the thick skin working at Pirate Hanks.
Agreed. I also think that Kenan had a flashback in that moment to him trying to resurrect Twizzles.
I think he did have a flashback because he was a little like he like paused, hesitated. He's like, "That wasn't a real bird, was
it?" Believe it or not, I've done this before.
Believe it or not, I've taken an ornamental tropical bird and killed it.
What the Rockmore say to Cal is very crazy. You know, I'll say. Because they say the same thing that they talk about in the Witch episode. They say to him, there haven't been pirates for over 200 years.
They did say that.
And there's no such thing as pirates anymore. I gotta say, that's wrong, right?
Absolutely that's wrong. In both like the literal sense of like there actually are still pirates. Like that sail and like, you know.
Steel boats.
Yeah.
You know, Captain Phillips.
Yeah,
you know.
that's a real thing. But also there are now we've just kind of masked like pirates have taken a new form and they are now industrialists who just go to different places and extract resources and rape the town basically of everything that it has, except most of the time there aren't people living there, but sometimes there are, like the reservations in Nevada where they just mine uranium. It's like, if that's not pirate behavior, there are many pirates around still today,
including online pirates too, worth mentioning.
Of course.
Some of our listeners that watch Kenan and Kel might be members of that group. So we're all pirates here.
Yes. That's a very millennial thing. That's a very
yeah. Gen Z has forgotten that art
pays
form.
like 30 subscriptions at a time. $200 a month. Of their parents' money, probably.
They notice a very notable patron of Pirate Hanks.
A psychologist from television.
Do you catch her name?
No.
Dr. Joyce Brothers. Believe it or not, a real psychologist.
Really? The actress?
Yes.
What is she doing on this show?
Joyce Diane Brothers had a very long career that began with she got very famous for winning a game show, the $64,000 question. She's a pop psychologist, and she has many cameos on shows all throughout, like I want to say, like 70s, 80s, 90s as herself.
Oh, that's funny.
So yeah, it's a really crazy trend that I never noticed until I looked up this episode. Her work inspired a lot of modern teachings and ideas.
Do you think we could get her on the podcast?
Not since 2013. She was an old lady way back in '99.
Say it ain't so. She is. Yeah, she is long gone.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, she's in stuff with like a Police Squad, Naked Gun. She's in The Simpsons, Frasier. She's all over the place.
Adam, she's not buried too far from us. If you want to go.
So. Respect. Oh man, that's. Oh, pay her respects, right. Okay, yeah. Sure.
What do you think I was gonna say?
Conduct a seance? Or something?
That would be not right. You can't podcast.
Find her reincarnation. You've been on that in the past couple episodes. She's over there, and Chris is gushing about her. That she's his mom's favorite psychologist. So Kel kind of recruits himself to get her autograph.
Yeah, I'll get it. And so then Kel goes over and he asks for an autograph. She has paper right there because she's a psychologist out to eat by herself taking notes. And so she reaches for the paper to sign him an autograph. She's very kind and friendly. And then Kel reaches out his arm and says, "Can you address this to Chris's mom?" Adam, have you ever gotten an autograph on your arm before?
I can't say I have. I don't think I've ever been that silly.
I have. Do you know who it is?
No, who did you see?
So she's been in the news the past week because she won a beauty pageant that used to be sponsored by the KKK. Did you see?
No, I did not see this.
So Ellie Kemper, who plays Erin on The Office.
Oh, her.
I don't buy into the whole her being a Klansman, but I do recognize that, like, that's not good. So we'll probably hear from her soon. But anyways, she signed my arm when I went to the Office wrap party.
Wow.
Back at the closing of The Office. Yes, she signed my arm because I didn't have a piece of paper. I have a picture of it somewhere.
That's pretty cool. You also high-fived Rainn Wilson, right?
Yes, I high-fived Steve Carell, shook Rainn Wilson's hand.
But yeah, it was very impressive.
Very impressive day. Oh, and I got a selfie with Creed.
Yeah, that's a full... You got most of The Office.
That's an awesome day, right? So yeah, that was cool. Anyway, so Ellie Kemper signed my arm, so I totally understood Kel's excitement by just reaching out his arm.
But as he's nodding, everyone at the table is like, shaking their head in shame because this is an autograph that he cannot give to Chris's mom.
But anyways, so she says that she's a doctor, and then Kel's like, "Oh, doctor," and you could just see the dots connecting in his head. And he's like, well, I've been having a problem. And so he whips his foot out and he puts it in her mashed potatoes. And Adam, let me just tell you, that is not what putting your foot in the potatoes means.
I put my foot in the potatoes.
No,
I did it.
That is not what it means.
No.
That's an expression, Like, they put their foot in this.
This is not very good.
This is not that. She is very calm about it.
She's a psychologist,
Yeah, and Kenan says over, "Kel, no, she's a psychologist. She's not
She's not that kind of doctor."
It's actually helpful to break down psychologist into those terms because psycho, right, means brain, and then logo means logic, and so
it's also, this is probably introductory for a lot of kids. I'm sure it was for me when I saw this as a kid.
Well, actually, I think mental telepathy was probably your first introduction to.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Or even the hypnotist episode.
And she says, "My advice to you is to take your foot out of my mashed potatoes."
So he does, reluctantly.
And he goes running back all around the restaurant like some kind of madman. Kel heavy episode, I should point out. This might be like some peak Kel going on here. He runs over to the waiter, Gavin, and what does he do?
He just knocks him over.
He knocks over their entire tray of dinners onto this kid's birthday party.
Right. So they had been waiting for their dinner, which was what started Gavin coming over in the first place. He's finally bringing the food out. Kel knocks it all over. It's all on this kid's birthday dinner. This kid says, "I hate you," to Gavin and kicks him. Just kind of like the metaphysical or metaphorical scourge of Gavin's existence at this point.
Yeah, and Gavin's like, "I'm sorry. I accidentally spilled your dinner. I'll get you more." Which I got to think, they gotta be hungry by now, right?
Yeah, right. Kel has destroyed dinner 2 different times.
It was dinner time, like when Roger started things. And now it's like, and we later learn it's gonna be like 9 in a bit. And there was delayed like another hour by Kel.
I think Kel's, whatever Kel has is probably made worse when he doesn't eat.
That's actually a good point.
So
that would explain a lot of this episode. Yeah,
he is going crazy.
I don't know if any of our like medium Kel channeling past lives explains his actions in this episode.
No.
No.
I think that's just his ADD.
They learn and they ask Gavin about the tankard challenge.
Yes. So the tankard challenge is if you can chug an entire grog of a liquid of your choice in 10 seconds, then you get your whole meal for free.
Kel gets excited when he learns that there's orange grog. Roger at first is like, let's not bother with that. Oh, eat for free? Go do it, Kel.
Gavin says it's not humanly possible, and Chris points out very astutely, well, Kel doesn't really follow, like, human laws.
Yeah,
He's
that's
almost not human.
That's very clever of Chris. And it's true, too.
Kel's pain tolerance, his like ability to just consume massive amounts of fizzy liquids.
He's a cartoon in this universe somehow.
He's a cartoon. Yeah, the amount of times he's hit his head and is still like, doesn't have traumatic brain injury. So
well, there's some results of that.
No, you're right. I meant to say the other one, like the actual. There's like a brain condition.
But I think it's another tender moment happens here, where everyone's like hyping up Kel.
He ruined dinner twice, and everybody still loves him. It's really cool, actually.
Yeah, Kenan starts him off with, who loves orange grog?
Kel loves orange grog.
Is it true? Arg do, ooh, ooh.
Anyways, they bring the orange grog. Adam, how do you describe the orange grog vessel?
It's a large barrel. But, like, I was trying to guess how much.
Fits on the table.
It's like 5 gallons? 10 gallons?
Probably 5.
5 gallons. A tankard is like 2 pints. It's very small.
Right. And how long does he have again to chug it?
10 seconds.
Yes. Okay, so 5 gallons, 10 seconds. Some people on TikTok right now would be like salivating. Because for some reason, chugging liquids online is now like a trendy thing. It's just so disturbing. What happens, Adam? What's the end result?
He drinks, and Gavin counts him down. And at 5 seconds, he finishes. A gallon a second is how fast Kel can drink something orange flavored.
And it took him like a whole second to like get it up and situated.
Yeah. So, he breaks this inhuman record of
in 5 seconds.
Yeah, that's going on my Meet the Rockmores list.
Yes.
Of achievements.
And then they're all cheering and yeah. Thanks, Gavin. Gavin says one of the best lines of the episode, which I think I've said many times in service jobs I hated. He says, I live to serve. He's just deflated. It's like,
absolutely.
What is happening? Why am I here?
A lick about if this works or doesn't.
It's like how I felt after virtual teaching until March. It's like, why?
I live to serve.
Why?
Following Kel's cartoonish anatomy, he immediately has to pee. It just goes directly through him.
Right. And so he makes his way over to the bathroom.
He crashes into the chef.
The chef, who has a French accent.
Yeah. Just picture your classic French chef. That's this guy. That's him.
Adam, the French chef that everybody's picturing is probably like a 3-star Michelin chef, right? In like a French restaurant. Like that's who this character is kind of depicting. He has like a right-hand sous chef who just not even a sous chef, a right-hand man who just follows him around like his little minion. This chef is like the creme de la creme of the Culinary Institute. He's like a chef, and he's working at Pirate Hank's.
Yeah, he once again, he's got a whole other story going on about how he deserves better than this.
Of course.
But his one pleasure in life is his manservant, Manfred,
who follows his every move and direction.
And yeah, he says to him after Kel crashing into him, he says, "Come, Manfred." And I should mention the two of them crash into the bathroom sign, which is just an arrow on the wall.
Yeah, restroom, and there's an arrow. And yeah, so the arrow falls, and before going to the bathroom, Gavin told Kel to just follow the arrow. And so Manfred and the chef, head off to the kitchen, and they were carrying with them a frozen fish, seemingly like they headed from the freezer.
The chef said, remind me to turn down the temperature in that freezer. It's awfully cold.
That's right. And so clearly they were coming from the freezer. Well, Kel picks up the arrow, and he said, follow the arrow. And so he kind of just starts moving around, like moving the arrow with him and then trying to figure out. And he like moves the arrow and he points it down. And he's like, well, that bathroom can't be down there. He points it up. He's like, there's no way I can get up there.
And just puts it on the wall.
That's right. He puts it on the wall, pointing to the name of this episode, the freezer.
So far, Kel has broken everything in this episode.
Everything. He's
also tried to fix it.
He's also tried to fix everything.
We didn't mention this, but he said his catchphrase again with the potatoes. He's like, I can fix this, and he's like messing with it.
Oh, yeah, with the potatoes. Yeah, it's the same cake fluffing technique.
He also says at one point, I can achieve.
That's me. I can achieve.
He's got all the motivation in the world. It's just in the wrong place. Where does Kel wind up?
Adam, I think, actually, before we get there, I think this actually influences why most restaurants today hang their bathroom signs up high on the ceiling.
So that people like Kel don't run into them.
And fiddle with them.
Describe this next room that Kel walks into.
A big freezer.
Yeah.
A freezer that's bigger than my room.
Full of boxes. Frozen, like, meats are hung up on the wall, frozen fishes.
There's, like, giant vents on the wall that are...
blowing air.
Blowing cold air, yep.
And on the door of this freezer, no windows or anything like that, giant steel door, and it's got this itty-bitty little handle.
Kel walks in, and he's like, this doesn't look like a bathroom.
This is a weird bathroom.
Right. It's like, they don't even have any soap dispenser.
Yeah, we learned that that's one of Kel's obsessions, the soap dispensers. He goes to leave, and he grabs that itty-bitty handle.
And he pulls it towards him instead of down, and it falls off.
Yep.
That's the episode, everybody.
That's where it starts.
That is where it ends.
Back at the table, they've received their food. Did you catch any of these fun pirate names of their meals?
I got one. Matey Platey.
Yeah, that's what Chris ordered. Kenan got the Skull and Crossboneless Chicken.
Okay. Nice.
They realize that they haven't heard from Kel in a while, so Kenan goes to get him to stop him from playing with the soap dispensers.
Roger says we should get this food to go and leave Kel.
Classic Roger.
A great idea, honestly.
Their lives would have been better if they did this.
Indeed.
And Kel wouldn't have cared.
No, Kel's pretty easygoing guy.
Kenan goes to check in on him.
Kenan is strolling to the bathroom. He's walking like his shoulder. He's like swagger. He's like shoulders are going back. He's like cool. He's so cool that he ends up in the freezer. The door closes. Kel's playing with the giant fish.
He follows the same steps as Kel, except he goes to the sign, he points at the arrow, and he's like, oh, this is the right way to go. Kel says to Kenan, is this a bad bathroom or what? This isn't the bathroom, Frosty.
Right, and he's like, oh, we just gotta leave, because, this is a freezer. And he goes to leave, the door is closed, and there's no handle.
And so Kenan starts freaking out, starts pounding on the door. Do you know what Kel says to him? He says, stop that, you're gonna break the door open. To which Kenan gives him a look, and they're retracing their steps. They realize that Kel messed up the sign.
Before that, Kel is blaming the chef on knocking over the sign.
Yeah, that's what he accuses the chef. This is the chef's fault.
And then Kenan's like, no, dummy, it's your fault. And Kel's like, hey, it's really easy to sit around and point fingers.
And then he
like squats down. He just like waits a second. Then he points both of the fingers forward. It's like
he has like a fun time like pointing around.
All he's doing is pointing. Like that's his pastime. He's just point.
See what I mean? Real easy.
This is such a good episode so far.
Kean's, what are we gonna do? Kel suggests they have a sword fight with fish.
And so that Kel just grabs some fish and he's kind of just like poking Kenan with it and
fight me.
Fight me. He's so innocent. He's like, oh, my friend's in here. Oh, look at all the fun stuff there is. He just forgets about all of his problems and the 5 gallons.
He makes the most of a situation.
Yes, and he forgets the 5 gallons of orange grog that he just drank.
Yeah. That he had to go to the bathroom immediately for, but now...
Now, no big deal. I mean, maybe he went when we weren't watching, but...
That's probably a good theory.
Adam, clearly Kenan and Kel are stuck in the freezer. Clearly, this would not be a problem in a normal modern-day kitchen because everybody has cell phones.
Yes.
And probably everybody can hear you if you just yell a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Although I do think they've got like a Twilight Zone bank thing going on of like, that's a really thick freezer door.
Seems like it.
Kel chases Kenan like into the corner with the fish, and as he does that, who enters the freezer?
Our friendly waiter, Gavin.
And Kenan does a really awesome like physical comedy thing where he says, "Would you stop poking with the fish?" Did you catch this?
Yeah, and then he flings it over his head. Like he grabs it and flings it over his head. It hits the wall behind him.
He does a squat and does this crazy move with it. It's really Really good.
It's good. It is good. It is good.
And Gavin, when he learns that they're trapped in the freezer, is unfazed once again.
He is so over it. He's like, oh yeah, of course this would happen.
And of course this would happen to my day.
Right, exactly.
They're interrupted by a fourth person. My favorite of this episode. Of this supporting cast.
Is it the man who has to use the restroom? It walks in like rubbing his tummy.
He's got curly blonde hair. Yeah, no, he enters this one, and he immediately breaks down.
He's just, we're gonna die in here.
I don't want to freeze to death.
At this point, there's 4 people stuck in a freezer. Have somebody stand by the door, and the next person who walks in, just open the door. Problem solved.
Yeah, just really gout out that door. It's the situation comedy. It's not that easy.
You're right. For some reason, everybody is pulled away from the door. Maybe this is metaphorical. The threshold of the life they could have is right there, but they keep getting stuck in the same self-repeating pattern of pain. I don't know.
We said this is a very Kel-heavy episode. This episode really embodies the amount of trouble, like the trouble vacuum that Kel creates.
Yes, exactly.
He has like an aura around him of bad luck and people messing up and and stuff.
But he's totally fine with the bad luck.
Yeah, he's neutral. Maybe he just like what's like a bad like empath thing that he just like channels negative energy to everyone else.
He just deflects it. He just like has a shield up, and he's like throwing out like darts of just like destruction.
Back at the table, they're wondering where their waiter is, and you see the band get up to leave.
We pan back to the freezer.
The door! And the whole band's in there! I don't...
With their instruments.
Yeah. They're just... How did 3 people in a row just all, like, rushed into the bathroom?
Why are 3 people going to the bathroom at the same time?
They're the band. Don't they know where the freezer is?
Why is anybody walking in the freezer?
Yeah, so they, everyone's upset about that. The blonde guy is freaking out. He's shouting, "We're never gonna get out of here!"
It's really funny. And I'm like, I feel like if you were casted for an extra, that would be you.
Yeah, I would probably be him.
You would do so well in that role.
This part might be my favorite part of the episode, is Kel's idea is what I'll call this scene. Well, Kel says, "Wait, I have an idea." And he runs into the door, falls backwards, and lying on the ground, he says, "Okay, here's my idea. We break into teams of 2. And as he says that, the door opens, and the doctor comes in and closes. So, he had an idea, what sounded like a good idea too, but for no reason he runs into the door and falls over first.
It's like the door is the threshold of intellectual advancement, and like he goes there before he's ready. Like he tries to break through before he's ready, and then he starts to make a plan to eventually surpass his the future potential within himself, and then his opportunity is just gone.
Just gone in an instant. You cut back to like the hallway with the arrows in there. And you see the entire birthday party.
All the little kids
one by one.
In.
Adult chaperones too, filing them one by one towards the bathroom.
Like a can of sardines. They are all packed in there.
Back at the table, the restaurant's getting pretty empty.
I love that. Like everybody's gone.
Yeah, Chris is very tired after eating his meal.
There's 5 patrons left.
Yeah. Do you know why Chris is tired?
Because it's 9:00 and he's usually in bed by then.
Which kind of fits in the face of our theory from last episode, that he sleeps during the day because he's always like, up late doing rituals and stuff like that.
Oh, he could just be saying that.
Yeah, well, he's kind of sleepy though. He's a very sleepy character.
You're right. I suppose you're right. Okay. All right. So we can't just take him on his word, but we can take him on his word and his demeanor, which seems sleepy.
That's like Chris's second trait. Second and third, his third trait maybe. He loves groceries like way too much. He's kind of a dweeb and he's sleepy.
He's always taking care of his mom.
Mama's
He's probably
boy.
in bed at 9 because his mom might go to bed later, and then his mom might need to wake up in the middle of the night and help his mom make
with
potions.
some kind of potions. Yes,
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Maybe he has to wake up at like the witching hour around like 3-4.
Of course, that's why he goes to bed early, Adam.
Okay, now it's adding up. Kyra and Cheryl also have to go to the bathroom. We didn't mention Kyra, which I feel bad about, but she didn't really do anything this episode.
We also didn't mention Roger. Roger went to the bathroom at some point.
Correct.
I
yes.
mean, the freezer. Same difference.
He is very upset that with Kel, of course, like everyone there.
And Cheryl and Kyra are just kind of like accepting the fact that Kenan and Kel are in the bathroom for 25 minutes.
An entire dinner.
Right. They're just like, oh, the boys.
We smash cut. You hear everyone shout, "The door!" which they always say.
Right. Everybody just stands and just like waves their arms like, the door!
Kyra and Cheryl are also in the bathroom now, freezing too.
You mean the freezer? You said the bathroom.
Oh, they're in the freezer, mistaking it for the bathroom like everyone else, and they're freezing. And like Cheryl very smartly says, "I can't believe that none of you people have opened the door, have been able to catch the door."
Yeah, and that's kind of like where we're at, right? It's this unbelievable situation that I mean, like theoretically could happen.
And I gotta say, everyone's in this freezer. The chef and Manfred are in the freezer.
Like
Roger,
all the
Kyra,
waiters,
Cheryl.
all the customers,
all the kids, all the band is there.
The band starts playing music.
This might be Kel's like worst situation that he's ever done.
It's pretty bad. There's a lot of people he's responsible for.
And they all have to go to the bathroom.
Right, that's like the worst part.
Some of them are hungry. They're all freezing. Kel gets his tongue stuck to the meat, of course. Kel says, "Man, I'm hungry." And he goes to Gavin, "Where's our food?" And Gavin is about to like strangle him.
Gavin just like stares him down, and Kel's just like, oh, he walks away. Well, it's time for Kel. Maybe Kel is beginning to realize what he's done. And so it's time for him to get his problem-solving hat on. And so he says, "I have an idea. Let me try to rub 2 icicles together to make a fire." and Kenan goes, "This is great." Kenan just looks at him and is like shakes his head, like puts his finger over his mouth. He's like, "Kel, don't say it anymore." He's like, "Kel, please stop."
It's time for Kenan to do what he does best. And besides scheming, his third attribute is he declares things. He makes large promises that he can't fulfill.
No rat will ever feel pain again.
He says, "I'm gonna stand next to the door, and I'm gonna make sure." And as he's saying that, someone else comes in.
And they all point the door as he's looking at them.
The person that came in was apparently someone that's very close to the blonde-haired kid, because he's the blonde-haired guy. He's on, like, she's comforting him.
Yeah, like his girlfriend or something.
Yeah, as he shouts, "We're all gonna die in here."
Yeah, it's very Shining vibes from that guy. Like he just watched a Jack Nicholson movie where people get murdered.
They're talking about how cold it is in there, and the chef alludes to what?
The temperature control. Like, hey, we're all in here. We don't have to be cold. And so Kel's like, "Oh, I'll get it." And everybody's like, no, Kel, don't.
An entire restaurant worth of people are shouting at Kel not to do this.
And so he goes over to the corner near the door where it is. He takes it off. It's this big red button on the wall. He turns the knob all the way to the right, which is hot, and then it breaks. Like, unrepairable.
Unrepairable.
By anybody.
Mm-hmm. Not even Manfred, who knows how it works.
Nobody in this restaurant who was in this freezer is taking responsibility for anything. Like, there is not a single leader. It's like you get...
They're all
these
adults.
people. Yeah, these adults who just can't can't do anything.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. It's a frustrating episode. I think is the word. Back at the tables, only Chris is left, and he wakes up.
Chris in a restaurant by himself,
and he's like, "Where is everybody?"
and he like looks around, and he goes, "Huh." Like he's just oblivious. He's oblivious to what's happening around him.
Meanwhile, in the freezer, things have gone from worse to even worse.
Yeah, in a matter of moments, it's now 120 degrees, and everybody is sweating profusely.
The fish are starting to rot. The blonde guy's like, I'm burning up.
Meanwhile, everybody has to pee.
Yeah.
Like, this is just the most uncomfortable episode
everyone's ever been in. The worst has not happened yet, Fantas. Someone else comes. The last patron comes into the freezer to open the door, and Kel finally catches it.
He catches the door, and everybody starts cheering.
Everyone's so happy. They're
oh my god,
celebrating
somebody
and
caught the door. It happened. Somebody caught the door. And Kel waves and then closes the door.
Everyone is about to murder Kenan because this happens. And Kenan's like, no, I'm sure Kel will be right back to let us all out. He does return, that Kel.
And closes the door behind him.
Yeah, he comes in, everyone's cheering, and he's all cheering for them, and he walks in, and the door slams.
He's like cheering, he's like, yay!
Yay! This is the final straw, because as Kel explains, like, oh, I had to go to the bathroom, but, that's where everyone is, so I want to come
We all have to go to the bathroom! Everybody starts to try to beat Kel up, they try to, like, gang up on him.
It's time for everyone to turn on Kel. Kenan comes to his defense and says, this isn't Kel's fault. He does this sort of thing all the time.
Which is his reasoning, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that is how Kenan is reasoning through this. He's like, oh, that's my friend. That's just how he is. Which is actually quite noble of him.
Right, and I might disagree with him slightly here. As someone that's taken tally of every time, it has been either Kenan's fault or Kel's fault. I must say, of the past few episodes, it has been Kenan's fault about 20 times. It's been Kel's fault 11 times. It's more often Kenan's fault than Kel's.
That's right. But anyways, he's forgiving, maybe because he realizes that everybody makes mistakes.
They're best buds.
Everybody has those days. They're best buds.
Everyone else is not as much as forgiving.
Yeah, so they're all about ready to beat Kel up, and so they get him, and then Kel finally escapes. He's getting ganged up.
But who comes to his defense next?
Dr. Brothers.
Yes. She says, it's so easy to blame Kel for all this. Screw it, get him.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and then everybody starts beating up Kel. And then Adam, who comes to the rescue?
Chris. Pushes the tomb of the freezer wide open.
Oh my god! He's the only one left!
And
he's the only one on the other side.
He stands there in the glowing orange lights of the...
He descends into hell.
And there is a full-on stampede of people that take him out as they leave in haste to presumably make a long line in the bathroom.
Yes, I would imagine.
The only people left in the freezer are Roger, Chris, Kenan, and Kel. And
Chris kind of stands up and says, "Can you take me to the hospital?" Or that's how it ends.
Yeah. Roger says, "Thanks for another memorable evening, Kel."
He's so diabolical.
Chris faints. They rush to his aid, and the freezer slams shut behind them. That's how the episode ends. Temporarily, surely. Kyra and Cheryl go back in a few. But boy, oh boy, what a mess Kel has made of this one.
Wow, how about the Christ metaphor? Opening the doors to the underworld, where the most discomfort ever imaginable is happening. You have to pee. It's sweaty.
It's a real scene. Out on stage, Kenan asked everyone if they enjoyed the situational comedy, which they did. The audience enjoyed this episode very much. Kel has a scheme, a final trick that he'd like to play this episode.
A final trick, but before we explain the trick, we have to talk about his turquoise and black striped sweater, covered by overalls and a turquoise hat.
Yeah, he is so blue.
It's a wonderful outfit.
What magic item does he have? From his magician story early on.
Most likely, yes. He has handcuffs, and so he handcuffs himself, and then he handcuffs Kenan. And he says, "Ha! Now I won't be taken on one of your adventures, because you will have to stay here with me."
He calls it a clever ruse. He's like laughing, wheezing in his face. And Kenan says, "Well, smart. That's a really clever idea, Kel. But you should leave the scheming to me." What does Kenan do?
He goes, "Wah!" And he just rips the handcuff. He like rips his hand away, and the handcuff breaks.
Kel's physical comedy is hilarious because he's like staring at his hand. It's like,
like it was about to come off. Definitely toy handcuffs.
Yeah, but they were shiny at least. Kenan asked him to bring 3 things to a location. Do you know what those are?
Boneless breasted chicken, 1 bagpipe. He doesn't say 1, but he just says bagpipe. And meet him at the nuclear power plant.
Come on, glowworm. And that's the episode.
That's the episode.
Man, what a time they had in that freezer.
What a time they had.
So I will not ask you whose fault this episode was. I think it's
thank you.
Painfully obvious. Well, what did you think of this one?
Really funny. I think it was definitely like a kid episode.
It's got a young audience.
I feel like last episode was almost more adult. Like there was
really?
the threat of like exterminating a rat. That's like an adult thing to do. Like you move into an apartment, right? You have your own place.
If you think about it, this one, death is also on the table.
Death is on the table, right? They do. Yes, you're right about that.
Dealing with a pest is like an adult problem.
Right. A young child who just is causing a havoc.
This is a real cartoon situation.
Yeah, very cartoony. Good episode though. I wasn't like blown away. Because it was just like, why? I really lost it when the band started playing in the freezer. Like that's what I find funny. Like in the moment of absolute just like chaos and madness, that this band's just like, well, let the drummer drum, right?
Yeah. He's like they're on the Titanic,
right?
Like the show must go on. This one definitely hasn't aged well on me as I've gotten older. But I do have really fond memories of this one. This was an episode I used to be able to like repeat from like memory.
Oh wow!
As a kid, just all the events they lead up in a very logical way.
Right.
Of like the people that get trapped in there, the Kel breaking the heat later on. So and I did as a kid really feel like, how are they going to get out of this? This is a horrible situation.
Yeah, I'm just screaming like, oh my god, just stand by the door. I would have been the first person out if I was ever stuck.
Little nibbles of trivia here that I'd like to share with you. First of all, this episode aired on January 2nd, 1999. Worth mentioning, the SpongeBob episode SB129 airs pretty much a calendar year later, December of 1999. That's the episode where Squidward gets locked in the freezer. And he's like there for like 1,000 years. So...
Everything is chrome.
It's a Nickelodeon trend for sure. All these extras have crazy stories, include like Joyce Brothers I mentioned, but the blonde guy, right? He is played by T.J. Thine. In the 2000s, he had a very successful career on the series Bones.
Oh, cool.
He was one of the main characters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he played, I didn't watch the show, so Jack Hodgkins.
Maybe he's a proponent of death. Characters who are attracted to death.
Obsessed with death.
Obsessed. A death watcher.
Yeah. You may recognize him as the dad in The Grinch, Stu Lu Hu.
Oh my god, what?
Oh, he plays that like a year later in the year 2000.
What?
So he got...
I thought the dad was so old. Or is that the mayor?
No, that's not the mayor. Cindy Lou Who's dad.
The dad. Okay. Wow, that's a pretty good role.
Yeah, he got so used to the cold with the freezer that he...
He's like, I really want to do some cold weather movies.
Yeah, he acclimated to Whoville.
Oh my god, on a snowflake.
This episode is written by someone that's never written another episode, called Jerry Kokler.
Really? I thought it was a repeat. Okay.
Nope. He has a really weird career. He wrote an award-winning off-Broadway musical called Three Guys Naked from the Waist Down. It's about stand-up comics. This episode felt like it was written by someone outside of the usual circle. if you ask me.
Yeah, because it was just entirely Kel.
Yeah, the Kenan balance wasn't great. And finally, our favorite waiter. I'm not sure if he's our favorite waiter. Maybe we have to do like a top 5 waiters.
Don't forget about the Chinese restaurant they went to in their in the first season.
They've been doing this for the entire time, haven't they?
They're always going out to eat. Yeah, I guess it's something that kids can relate to.
So the Gavin the waiter was played by Oliver Muirhead, and he is most well known for a commercial in the 90s.
What is it?
Well, the commercial has an outlaw has captured the marshal, and he has him hanging from a tree, like with a noose around his neck. He's about to let him go.
Oh my God.
Yeah, 90s. And he says to him, "Too tight, Marshal?" Gavin plays the marshal. And he says, "Nope." "Any last words?" "Nope." And he says to him, "What do you want on your tombstone?" And the marshal says, "How about pepperoni and cheese?" "Tombstone pizza."
What?
Buy it in the freezer aisle.
What? Oh my God.
Crazy, right? Yeah, no, that was the waiters of the role. You played the marshal in this famous commercial.
Oh my God. Another freezer joke.
Yeah, what? No. What a connection.
Oh my God.
That's pretty insane. Let's rate this thing. So, on IMDb, this episode has a 7.9 out of 10. Ranked really high. This is 19 out of 62.
Yeah.
Aaron, out of 10 bottles of orange soda, how many do you give this episode?
I'm going to say 7.5.
All right.
Reserving my right to change that later, but 7.5 for now. I was leaning on 8, but it just didn't feel like an 8 to me. It was just kind of yeah. It was a great episode, but I don't know. There's way better episodes out there in my opinion.
Once upon a time, I think I would have given this episode a 10. But yeah, it's a little contrived. I missed the Kenan stuff.
Yeah, I missed. Yeah,
a good episode has a lot of him in it too. So 8.5 for me.
Okay, I figured you were gonna say 8.5. A good episode would have had Kenan trying to scheme and equally messing things up.
Yeah, like he's in some kind of trouble. Like maybe his report card. He was gonna try and like maybe he was cooking the dinner so that he was like easing his parents into the like telling him his bad grades.
Or Kenan could have like started like stacking up boxes in the freezer to try to make some contraption that would have like captured the door as soon as somebody walked through and like something like that. But it was kind of just too unbelievable for like it to actually happen because the episode was wholly based on Kel, and it's like that's not really how this world works.
The world became more cartoony to match Kel.
Right.
But that's enough for the for our present tense. What's our next episode?
Our next episode, let's see how fast I can pull up a Wikipedia page and scroll. Our next episode is called Present Tense.
Yes. It's about Kenan's birthday. As we celebrate our like third party of this season.
Lots of parties. Lots to celebrate. It's true. It's almost summer, and there is a lot to celebrate. So celebrate with us next week as you tune in to the next episode, which is called Present Tense.
Bye, everyone.
Until next time, here it goes. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Kenan and Kel with Adam and Aaron. If you want to stay in touch, send us an email at kenankelpodcast@gmail.com, or you can send us a voice message at anchor.fm/KenanKelPodcast. Our social media accounts are all at Kenan Kel Podcast. That's Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Thanks, everybody.